your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Is that a monkey?
Where are the gorillas?
Nice monkey suit.
To help with this chimp, we may have a championship season.
Monkey!
It's like I'm talking to a monkey.
No one wants to be turned into a monkey.
Apes together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to CineMonkey. My name is Mike DePalma. This is a monkey movie podcast where I talk all things sapiens in cinema and monkeys in media. And today I have a special guest joining us, and that is one of my other brothers, Justin DePalma. Say hello, Justin.
Hi. How are you? How you going?
Wow, keeping the energy real high. I love that.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
I'm excited.
That bleeds into the high energy of the film that we watched this week. It is May, and I want to say we have entered into the Planet of the Mapes. That is this little series I'm calling it here, where we're watching all of the 2011 Caesar rebooted Planet of the Apes films leading into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and this week where we're talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Now, Justin, I know you've listened to the show before, but if this is your first time listening, I'm just going to break down how we kind of run through things here. What we're going to do is we're going to explain the plot of the movie, go through all the details of the film, peppering in some fun facts and trivia throughout. Then we're going to talk about the monkeys in the movie. Then we're going to discuss what happens if the monkeys are removed from the movie. And then we will discuss whether we like the movie or not with our rating system here. Monkey see, monkey do, or monkey see, monkey don't. Sound good?
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
gonna show me where the gorillas are, right?
Yeah. Show me the gorillas.
Where are the gorillas?
Classic Clayton line from Tarzan. So the movie was directed by Matt Reeves. It was written by Mark Bombach, Scott Z. Burns, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver.
Right.
And the movie stars Andy Serkis, Jason Clarke, Gary Oldman, Nick Thuston, Kerry Russell, Toby Kebbell, Kieran Convel, Cody Smith McPhee, and then also
Nice.
Judy Greer. So yeah, it's a big cast.
Exactly. It's a really good cast.
It's a great cast. And so the movie starts with the globe, the world, and then we see these lines kind of flowing all around the world. And the first image of a person we see on the screen is one Michael Bloomberg, and he's talking about some sort of disease that has ravaged New York City. And then you get all these intercutting political figures kind of talking about something bad that has happened. And this is all real footage. And then we see all these lines kind of drawn all across the world as we see that this flu, the simian flu, has spread all around the world, killing millions upon millions of people, leaving us with, dare I say, almost a Planet of Apes.
Oh man!
But there are still
credits.
pockets. Yeah, that's it. Well, then we get Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. we did it. So 10 years have passed since the previous movie, and we open up on Caesar's eyes, and we slowly zoom out, and we see all of these apes kind of surrounding him. Now Caesar's on the hunt, and his pack of his tribe of other apes are also surrounding him, and he signals over to some of his other apes, and he signals over to his right hand man Koba, and they launch. They go as we see these deer running through the woods, and these apes start swinging and chasing after all of the deer to hunt and feed themselves. So while that's happening, we kind of get introduced to these new characters. We met Koba and Maurice, the orangutan from the previous movie, and as well as Rocket, who was the ape that was bullying Caesar at the start and then kind of became his right-hand guy in that movie. Koba, the messed up ape, the one with the slash through his eye and everything, he kind of rose through the ranks and has become Caesar's right-hand guy. You had something you want to say? Yeah?
The scars, Mike. The scars. I think that was the word.
The scars. What did I say?
The slash.
Oh, well, scar. Yeah, you're right. Scars. So Caesar, it has been several years. He has a new son. His name is Blue Eyes.
Yeah,
and
Blue
he's
Eyes.
probably about as old as what Caesar was in the first movie, maybe like 6-7 years old.
You think he was that age?
You
think he was that old?
Yeah, Caesar wasn't that old in the first movie.
I think he wasn't he 8?
He might have been 8. All right, so I would say he's probably a little bit younger. And Blue Eyes, he looks like his father. He, is looking up to his father. He is kind of the first ape to not have the glowing green eyes that the drug that James Franco made in the previous movie adapt. Like he's the first, I would say, fully evolved ape post Caesar and post the ape uprising from the previous movie.
Do you remember what that drug was called? It was like Alpha
It was
112 or something like that.
ALZ 113.
A-
And
A-
you're gonna say, "Do you remember that?" I was like, "No, that's right in front of me on my computer." Not at all.
I don't know, just for some background
Stands for
context.
Alzheimer's 113. They take down the deer and they hunt the deer and
Sure, it was an elk.
then or they're elk or they're elk, deer,
Some
whatever,
sort of animal with 4
meat.
legs.
They're hunting for meat. And Blue Eyes, Caesar's son, is attacked by a grizzly bear. And who comes to save the day but Caesar and Koba? And Caesar afterwards has a quick little chat with his son through sign language, and then they go back to their new ape sanctuary, which is this beautiful kind of fort that they've built in the trees of the redwoods. You see, like, they have like a shelter, and they have walls, and they
Had a
built
great
like
view.
great view stairs. Caesar's king, he's become the king of the people because he gets to lead, and he is the smartest one, and he's the one who has kind of mentioned and created all these rules for them to follow. And you kind of see Maurice the orangutan teaching these younger apes Caesar's methods, and on the wall it says, "Apes do not kill, apes together strong," all of the things that Caesar kind of talked about in the first movie during the ape uprising. We find out that Caesar's wife, who's played by Judy Greer, is sick as she's giving birth to Caesar's new son. And so Caesar feels worried about her. She's just kind of laying down. He doesn't quite know what to do because these apes, they don't have medicine or anything like that, but he's figuring it out.
I would just like to point out, I would like to really appreciate whoever's idea it was to have the monkeys have masks on as Dr. Monkeys. Do you notice that?
Oh,
They
yeah.
had- They had masks on.
They learned their lesson from the previous movie, because the only reason that the simian flu exists is because a guy didn't wear his mask in the surgical room when they were infecting Koba. And so they learned.
Yeah.
You gotta, these
Monkey doctors and nurses.
monkey doctors and nurses, they're doing their thing. They're not very good at it, but they're doing their thing.
Yeah, they looked confused.
They didn't understand. They're like, "She's sick. We don't get it, but we'll see. Hopefully she doesn't die.
She might get better.
We don't know." So, Blue Eyes, Caesar's son, and Ash, who is the son of Rocket, they go on a little side adventure where they're catching some fish. I think they're fishing, right? And they got fishing poles and everything, and they're bringing the fish back to the camp, and they happen to come across some humans. They haven't seen humans ever.
Oh.
And humans start to panic. They don't quite know what's going on. And there's one human in particular, he kind of overreacts and he shoots Ash.
This poor monkey.
This poor monkey. And Caesar wakes up by the gunshot, and they descend upon these humans, and you just start to see them panic. They're like, "What's going on? What are these monkeys doing?" And you just see, this is kind of horrifying. If you are the humans in this situation, just hundreds of monkeys just kind of surrounding you.
Yeah, hundreds of
and
chimps.
then hundreds of chimpanzees and bonbos surrounding you. And I don't know if Maurice is there, but you just
I think he is.
gorillas,
Yeah.
just the whole community comes out, and they get scared. Caesar sees Ash shot and starts screaming at the humans to go. Yeah, and then some of the other monkeys start saying that as well. One of the youngest kid, I would say, that's probably in this little expedition, this little human party, drops a bag. They get in their cars and they run away, and they go back to San Francisco. And so Caesar's like, "I do not trust these people one bit. Koba, you take a few people, go follow them, see where they're up to." So Koba and the gang and his two boys, his two lackeys, they follow the truck, and they go all the way back to San Francisco, where turns out the humans, they've been holding up in a particular train station there. There's like a little bustling town that's kind of surrounded by, they've built kind of a little fortress around this train station, and inside, you have street merchants and you have people selling things and houses, and it feels very this is the post-apocalypse, I would say, at this point. So this is a very post-apocalyptic community, but they do have lights and they are functioning as a society. And we meet Gary Oldman, who plays a named his name Jarwin? Dreyfus. That's not right. Yeah, so his name is Dreyfus, and he is the kind of co-head of this community, along with Jason Clarke, who plays this guy Malcolm, who is in that expedition, and he's the one that is kind of advocating on behalf of the monkeys, in behalf of Caesar. He's like, Caesar's a fascinating creature. He gets up and he talks and he walks, and he's kind of this amazing specimen. And then another guy in the group, he's just like, "Are you serious? Like, the monkeys killed everybody. Like, they're the reason why we're all dead." And they were like, "Well, listen, it was made in a lab." And he was like, "Shut up, actually." But Gary Oldman's like, "Let's not cause a panic now. Let's come up to my office. Let's have a chat." And they chat up in the office, and turns out the humans, they're running real low on gasoline. They're about to run out of fuel. And the reason why the humans went up into the redwoods is because there's a dam that's creating water. Now, the dam that's creating water is just so happen in the way of Caesar's territory. And Caesar does not wish for the humans to ever return. But Koba goes back and he sees this train station, and he reports back to Caesar. And Caesar is like, "You know what? Grab the horses. Let's head down there." So he takes all of the apes, and they ride on down to the train station, and they essentially show up on the doorstep. And Gary Oldman's trying not to cause a panic. He's like, "Listen, we can't talk about these monkeys. Who's outside the door but these monkeys?" Now, Jason Clarke, he is like, "Okay, listen, let me talk to him." So he goes out to talk to Caesar, and Caesar starts telling all these people. He starts talking, which blows all the humans' minds. They're like, "Hey," he's like, "listen, this is your home. We live up in the redwoods. You stay here. We'll stay over there. We won't bother each other. And don't you dare come back, because we will attack you." They ride away, but not before they give back Jason Clarke's son's bag, which he had dropped up in the mountains earlier. Caesar makes these claims about not wanting war and everything. And like I mentioned, he goes back up into the mountains. Now, Jason Clarke, he goes to Gary Oldman afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, listen, what I want to do is, like, we're going to run out of power real soon." I think he says like 2-3 weeks is about the time. And so to not cause a panic, I'm going to take a small team. We're going to go back up to the mountains, even though they told us to stay away. And we're going to try to, restart that dam. We'll talk to Caesar, make sure he's feeling good, see what he wants. And then maybe, we could work together. And Gary Oldman's like, "Listen, you got 3 days to do this. I'm going to go to the armory and find out every working gun. We're going to test them all out. And if you don't come back in 3 days, I'm going up there and I'm killing all of those monkeys." So Jason Clarke's like, "Yep, good deal. Great, fantastic." He and his wife, played by Kerry Russell, they pack up their things. They take their son. They take the guy that shot Ash before, and they head on up back to where they came from,
Caesar's
and
Palace.
to find a Caesar's community. Yeah, Caesar's Palace. Yeah,
Mike.
yeah. You've been thinking about that all day.
Yeah, he's gonna go play the slots.
Yeah, he's going. He really just wanted to take a trip to Vegas. Yeah,
That's literally what it is.
it's Caesar's Palace. Yeah,
he's got everything. He's got forts. He's got amazing viewpoints, food, a buffet.
He's got a buffet of elk or deer or whatever they caught earlier. Fish. They got it all.
Just food galore.
They head back up to Caesar's palace, and he gets taken in, and is thrown in front of Caesar. And Caesar's like, "I told you not to come back here." And he was like, "I know, but please come with me." And Koba's like, "I do not trust humans. They did all these terrible things to me. Could we not? Could we maybe not follow him? And, let's just kill them now?" And Caesar's like, "Let's hear him out. Take me to this place." So Jason Clarke takes them to the dam. He shows them. He's like, "Power. I could power. That's all we need. That's all we're asking for. Just a few days. Me and this small team of people will turn on the lights and we'll head back." And Caesar's like, "I do miss the lights." And so Caesar's like, "You know what? Do what you got to do. But after 3 days, get out of here.
But no guns."
But no guns. That is key. That is important. And so they were like, okay. So Jason Clarke goes back to his team. He's like, "Listen, we just got to give up our guns." They take all the guns, and then you watch these monkeys kind of smash up the guns in their like little fire pit, and they destroy all of them.
Ape don't like gun.
No, apes don't like guns.
Yes, no guns.
Yeah, so they start to work on the dam. Meanwhile, Koba's like, I don't trust this. So Koba takes a covert team, his 2 guys. They go back to San Francisco. They're kind of investigating. They're doing a little investigation, and they find Gary Oldman's boys fully shooting guns and just testing them out. And Koba finds a full warehouse full of guns that the humans are occupying at the moment. And Koba gets caught by some of these humans. And the music starts to tense up, and you're like, oh no. And you see like this kind of anger on Koba's face, and just like everything starts to slow down, and you're like, oh, something's about to go down. And then Koba just blows the biggest raspberry, and he kind of subverts himself back into a more primitive version of an ape, something you might see like in a circus or
A zoo.
Yeah, where he's just goofing around. He doesn't know any better. He's just a little ape. And they just think that Koba was left behind from when all the apes came down to San Francisco earlier. They're like, get on out of here. It's fine, you silly little guy. Go on, get. And he goes away. And then you see his like face change and become more sophisticated again. He's like, oh, we gotta tell Caesar about these guns. And so he starts to go back. Meanwhile, the human crew, they're doing what they got to do. They're fixing up the dam, and things are going pretty well, except there is some blockage. So they crawl into a hole, and they're like, obviously the best thing to do right now is to put dynamite in this hole, and we'll blow it up while we're still inside. And so they blow up the hole, and all of this debris falls down around them and covers them up, and they're stuck, except for Carrie Russell and their son. And Caesar and the monkeys, they decide, okay, we'll get them out of here. Caesar's a little upset by this, but he's like, you have one more day to deal with this, and we'll help you. And so it's kind of this like slower, nice moment. It's not as tense as before. Caesar's newborn son, Cornelius, he's crawling all over Malcolm's wife. He's playing around with the family, and it's like, okay, maybe there can be some symbiotic relationship between the monkeys and humans. Cornelius, the little monkey, crawls over to some guy's lunchbox. He's the guy who shot Ash before, and they start swiping away. They start swiping away at some of the stuff in his lunchbox, and he secretly has a shotgun still, and he lunges for it, and he grabs it, and he holds that gun up, and this freaks everybody out. The humans didn't know about this. Caesar and the apes didn't know about this. They were having a tough time, and so they're figuring out like, hey, let's all calm down now. Let's not cause a scene, a riot. And Caesar walks up to this guy, and he grabs the gun, and he starts to play with it for a second, and then he's holding it by like the butt of the gun, and he starts to swing it, and then he grabs it and he holds it with both hands, and he shows that's like, hey, listen, I can use this right now, and I could kill all of you. And then Jason Clarke like begs and pleads. He's like, we didn't know. We're really sorry. Like, listen, we did this. This wasn't the case. This wasn't what we wanted. And Caesar chucks the gun into the water, and he demands that they leave right now and never return. And so they start packing up their camp, and they're all mad at this guy. They're like, oh, you blew it, man. You blew everything. And Jason Clarke's like, I gotta go back and talk to Caesar. Caesar is already pissed off. His sons were in danger. His wife is sick. He's having none of this. And Jason Clarke's like, I'm gonna go back. And so even though he was told to stay away for the second time, he goes back up, and he gets thrown in front of Caesar. And Caesar's wife, she's not doing well. She's really sick. The monkey doctors are confused. They don't quite know what's going on. Jason Clarke's wife, played by Carrie Russell, she's like, hey, listen, I'm a doctor. She looks sick. I have medicine. If you let us stay, we can help her. And Caesar kind of thinks about this, and he's like, okay, fine. If you can help us out, that'd be okay. That'd be fine. But you have one day, and the monkeys will help you. And Caesar's son is like, absolutely not. I am not helping these people. Meanwhile, Koba comes back, and Koba starts talking to Caesar's son. And Koba's like, Caesar is blind to the humans. He loves the humans too much, more so than his own kids. I'm gonna start something. He decides he's going to take a little trip. He's going to go back to the human compound where all the guns are being kept. Koba starts swinging around, and he drops down, and the 2 guys, they remember him from before, because they're like, oh, it's this monkey's back. Oh, great. And so he comes along, and he's acting all friendly, and he's this is my favorite scene in the movie too. He's acting all friendly and everything. He's walking over, he's acting like a silly little ape, and these guys are drinking, and they're like, give him some drink. And so they they give whatever they're drinking to him. I don't remember what it was.
Give him some drink.
Give him some drink, let's see what happens when we give the monkey alcohol. He drinks the drink and spits it out all over them, and they're like, ha ha ha, very funny. And he like casually just he likes patting them, and he's like tapping them and everything, and then he winds up grabbing the gun and starts swinging it around like it's a toy, and they're like, all right guy, come on, hold on. And he's swinging it around, just ever so casually just shoots these two guys and kills both of them. Meanwhile, back at the dam, they're getting everything fixed. They're having everything turn on. The monkeys are helping out and everything, but Koba comes back and he starts screaming at Caesar, and he's like, Caesar, you need to stop. You need to this is wrong. The monkeys and humans should not mix. Kick these people out. We should stop helping them. And Caesar's like, I'm the one in charge here. And he's like, you love the humans more than your own sons. And Caesar loses his mind, and Caesar starts beating up on Koba, and they have a little fight, and they attack each other, and he starts banging on top of him, like using all of the strength that he has. And Koba, he's just kind of taking this beating. He is fighting back a little bit, but he's not going to win. And so Koba eventually submits, and he asks for forgiveness, which Caesar gives, and Koba runs away. And he knows at this point that Caesar will do anything for the humans. He does not care about the apes anymore because Koba's got a gun. The humans, they get the lights turned on. They turn the dam on, and there's like a little nice scene in the there's like this gas station that's out in the middle of the woods, and they play the song. I know the lyrics of it, but what's the name of the song? Take a load off, Fanny.
Nope.
Yeah, you don't remember that? You don't remember that song?
No,
Take
I
a
don't.
load for free. Anyway. So they play the song, and they
get it. Find it.
I'm looking it up. What song plays in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in the gas station it's called The Wait by the band. The Wait by the band plays, and it's just this like nice moment where everyone's having a nice time and everything, and Caesar's happy because he remembers a time. He likes the lights and everything, and this is a huge moment, ape and humankind together, and they get together and they go back to Caesar's palace. He takes Jason Clarke up to the top of his palace, and he shows like, hey, look out over at the lights, and you could see that San Francisco has lit up. The lights are back on, and it's just this nice moment. Caesar stands out in front of his people. His wife is feeling better because Kerry Russell gave her some medicine. Everything is fine. He stands out looking over at his kingdom, and he looks down and he sees Koba with a gun, and Koba shoots Caesar, and he tumbles to the ground. He is seemingly dead, and Koba lights a little fire. Caesar's palace starts to go up in flames. Caesar is gone underneath the redwoods and everything, and Koba gets up in front of everyone and is like, the humans did this. The humans killed Caesar. We must act revenge. Go find them. And Maurice turns to the humans and is like, run. Jason Clarke and all the humans, they're running. They're like, we gotta get back to get back to San Francisco.
Yeah, their base. Warn everybody.
And this isn't good. Koba takes control of Caesar's people, Caesar's army, and he goes up to Blue Eyes, Caesar's son, and is like, me and you, we're gonna run this. We're gonna get revenge for your father. Meanwhile, back in...
They're partying in their base because they have the lights on.
Yeah.
And what happens is that they come back. I don't remember if they see the apes or I don't remember if they got the warning. I don't remember the transition.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember, if there is a transition here. But yeah, no, the humans are partying because they got the lights on. They have music playing as well. And Koba in the ape kingdom, he is like, hide the women and children. All of us, we're all going to go down there right now, and we're going to kill every last human. And so that's what they do. And this is kind of the first or I guess the second action sequence of the film. And this is probably about an hour into the movie. So it's been a slow burn up to this point. This movie is more so, I would say character studies as opposed to really an action movie, which is kind of crazy that this movie did really well, but it's so well acted and it's so well executed that it's like you believe all of it, which is so crazy because, in the previous movie, I would say acting James Franco and some of the other people, it was fine, but you could tell a majority of the people besides Andy Serkis and John Lithgow were really taking it seriously because it's oh, this is a silly little Planet of the Apes movie. This movie, everyone is on their A game. Everyone is buying into this premise, which I think is so cool because it's executed so well. But anyway, so we get this action sequence.
When we get to this part though,
yeah,
this is when the movie goes 0 to 100 really, really fast.
Yeah, it's like it
Really
went from
dial in.
this slow little drama about apes and humans trying to coexist, and then it's go time.
Yeah.
Because Caesar is seemingly shot and dead, and the apes want revenge. And so Koba takes his forces on horseback, and they're riding through the streets of San Francisco. The humans, they kind of see this coming, and they start firing, and Koba has some guns that he's taken for himself, and they start shooting at each other. The humans bring in a tank at this point and start shooting that, and Koba's like, oh, no. And he charges on his horse all the way through. They throw some bombs and everything, and I guess Molotov cocktails or grenades or something, and you see this wall of flames, and Koba rides his horse through this wall of flames, and it's one of the most badass monkey moments that I've ever seen. I was like, it's beautifully shot, and it's just, it's really cool. I don't know how else to describe it.
Oh, the whole attack is a great scene in the movie.
Yeah, Koba hijacks a tank.
It shows a lot. It's a lot of development between how now this monkey has gone power crazy and how Gary Oldman has to react on his feet and defend the colony of humans as fast as possible.
Yeah, and like he's just like, okay, we gotta defend ourselves, and he kind of disappears from a lot of this movie. Especially after this point, he's gone for a while. But Koba, he captures or kills pretty much as many humans as possible. They're taking over the train station. Koba, there's some apes that are showing some resistance. One of which is Ash. And
Ash.
Koba comes up to him and is like, there's like a human that's like cowering on the floor, and Koba picks up like a ballard. One of those metal ballards that kind of holds the ropes together, and he hands it to Ash, and he goes, kill this human. Ash is like, this isn't what Caesar would want. I'm not going to do it. And Koba changes his demeanor again. He's like, yes, Caesar wouldn't want this. And he takes Ash, leads him up.
He drags him up the stairs.
He drags him up the staircase to this train station, and he picks him up and he chucks him over the banister. And then Ash falls to his death. And that poor Ash dies.
This poor
Ash
monkey.
is shot.
This poor monkey, man.
In the matter of 4 days.
Took a beating.
Didn't do anything wrong
in
either instance.
No.
Just around. And Koba screams at all the other apes. It says, Caesar is gone. Apes follow Koba now. This kind of shows, like you were saying, he's gone completely, power hungry and crazy. And I think he's wanted this for a long time. He's wanted to be the leader. He's just needed a moment to take control.
To seize the opportunity.
Koba imprisons a lot of humans, and he also imprisons any ape that was loyal to Caesar. So Maurice, Rocket, all of these people locked up in a bus. And Blue Eyes is loyal to Koba, at least seemingly loyal to Koba, and is not quite sure how to feel about the situation, but he's still kind of on the side of Koba because he's like, they did kill my father.
Yeah, definitely confused.
And Maurice tells Blue Eyes through the bus, is like, protect yourself, because like that guy's insane. Like that guy just went crazy. Meanwhile, the humans that were in Caesar's camp, which is Jason Clarke and Kerry Russell, they're trying to get back to their car and everything, and they find Caesar, who is very hurt but still alive, and they take him to the car and they put him in the back of the car, and they're like, listen, that guy Carver, the guy who brought the gun, and we exiled him from our community, which I forgot to mention, the reason why they were able to stay is because they were able to kick this guy out who had the gun before. He's not going to shoot. Like, why would he shoot Caesar? There's no reason for that. This guy wasn't that crazy. And Caesar's like, no, Ape did this. And then Jason Clarke's like, whoa, okay, well, we got to get back and we have to, stop this. It wasn't our doing. But Caesar's very weak, and Caesar needs to be operated on, essentially, to get the bullet. He still has a bullet very much in his chest, and he is not, and he fell like so far down. He fell.
Yeah, it was pretty full drop.
He's hurting at this point.
Yeah.
Caesar knows a place where he can hide out, and they take they drive around San Francisco, and Caesar gives them directions, and they pull up to James Franco's house from the previous movie, and they go in and they drop Caesar on the couch, and Kerry Russell's like, hey, listen, like I have nothing to operate on him on, but there is stuff back at the camp. And Jason Clarke's like, I'll go back. He goes on a little solo mission and sneaks back into the train station that's occupied by the apes at this point, and he grabs a bunch of medical supplies, and on his way out he runs into Blue Eyes, and Blue Eyes holds a gun up to him, and Jason Clarke's like, whoa, hey, like listen, your father's alive. Okay. So takes Blue Eyes back with him, and they operate on Caesar, and Caesar gets kind of better. Been a couple days, but Caesar regains his strength, and he starts wandering around the house, and he makes his way back up to the attic in where he used to stay. He finds a videotape, and he watches a videotape of when he was young with James Franco, and he's teaching them how to sign and teaching him how to talk, and Caesar kind of like looks at this and reminisces, and then the camera dies, and so that's the end of his memories, and it's just him. It's kind of like this nice slow moment where he's kind of like reminiscing about the past and kind of learning like there are good people in this world like James Franco and like Jason Clarke, and so like humans aren't all bad, they have bad tendencies. And Jason Clarke asks like, oh, who is this house, who are we staying in? And Caesar just tells him, he's like, listen, it was a good guy. He didn't want to call him his dad because I guess he's not his dad, but you know, it was someone who looked out for him and took care of him, and there are good people out there. They kind of come up with a plan, Caesar and his son, they come up with a plan to free the apes and take back the community and the colony and kind of free the humans. Blue Eyes goes back still as an agent of Koba, and he draws the window symbol on the bus to let them know Caesar is alive and listen, you're going to get out of this. And they wind up tipping the bus over. The good monkeys escape. Caesar shows up. They start making their way through the train station, which just so happens on top of it to have this giant skyscraper built above it. That's not quite finished yet, so the top levels are all these girders and everything, and it's still under construction. And yeah, the regular world doesn't operate anymore, but it's this symbol of humanity that's not quite finished. And so this big tower, and Koba and a bunch of the monkeys are at the top of the tower, and Caesar makes his way to the top of the tower.
No, he climbed.
Yeah, so he climbs the top of the...
And then they're trying to... Who's the main guy? Malcolm? Okay, so
Jason Clarke, yeah.
Malcolm was leading them to the tower through the tunnels.
Yeah, because he knows the secret entrances, yeah.
Right? He knows the way through the base. And he tells Caesar and the rest of the apes to go up the stairs to get to the top so they can climb to the tower. Or they can climb the tower to go and meet and face off against Koba. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the tunnels is Gary Oldman, where Malcolm goes and distracts Gary Oldman so he doesn't have to see that the good apes are trying to get to the bad apes on the top of the skyscraper. Is this skyscraper?
It's like an unfinished skyscraper, yeah.
There's
that. So Jason Clarke, Malcolm, like you were mentioning, he is reintroduced to the humans again, and they're surprised that he's still alive, and they bring him into the group, and Gary Oldman shows Jason Clarke, he's like, look, all these C4 charges, we're gonna blow these apes to hell, and it will kill all of them at once because they're all in the building. And Jason Clarke takes a moment, and he grabs a gun just ever so casually and then holds the gun up to Gary Oldman and all the other guys there. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? And he was like, we got to give the monkeys a chance. Like, listen, Caesar's going to fix all this. And Gary Oldman reaches and grabs the fuse for all the C4. And he's like, Jason Clarke's like, what are you doing? And Gary Oldman goes, I'm saving the human race, and presses the button and explodes.
Great line.
I know you had some contentions with this the first time you saw this. You were like, that was one of the dumbest things. It was stupid.
Well,
rewatching the movie.
Well, yeah, rewatch. Well, first of all, this movie came out 10 years ago. My opinion of 10 years ago
has changed.
You know, and it came out on my birthday, believe it or not.
Did it actually?
Yeah, theatrical release. So
look at that.
But yeah, it was I didn't get it. Clearly, I didn't get it 10 years ago, but I did get it now. So I was like, you know what? I kind of have to side with Gary Oldman, where I was like, he tried.
Like he is like the human antagonist of this film, but he's also like he's not wrong. He never does anything that's like antagonistic. He's trying, like you're saying, he's trying his best.
Yeah.
He's doing what he can to like he's like, listen, this is my one plan. The plan is kind of bad. He should have gotten a little further away or let the other two guys that were with him escape.
That was a little unethical. Where he's like, "Well, okay, I guess I'll just blow up these two guys too." Like, like they didn't deserve to die, especially that radio guy. He's like, "Hey, man, we're gonna get tagged by monkeys. We need help." Like, and then his life was taken away.
But before Gary Oldman blows up, I should mention that Jason Clarke at gunpoint, we're going to save the monkeys and everything. Gary Oldman lets him know. He's like, oh, hey, by the way, we were in contact with like a military base up north. They're coming. So regardless of if we kill them now, they're all going to be dead. Your efforts are null. They're not going to last.
Yeah.
Jason Clarke doesn't care. And Gary Oldman blows himself up. And this big explosion rockets through the building. And you kind of see the flames all around. Meanwhile, at the top of the skyscraper, Caesar shows up again and confronts Koba. Caesar's trying to calm everyone down and make sure that they're not going to die in this moment, but he's like, I have to take care of Koba. I have to make Koba submit to me. Caesar and Koba, Koba has a gun at this point and he's like firing on all the apes that are turning on him at this point because Caesar has returned, and Caesar goes to Koba and is like, let's duke it out, mano y mano. And Koba throws the gun away and they start jumping and smacking each other. It's like their fight from earlier in the dam, but this time, there's more stakes because there's fire all around them and they're on top of a skyscraper and they're banging and they're smacking each other and they're sliding down and they're falling and they're hitting girders and everything. And Koba at this point is getting weak and he's falling down and he hangs off the side of the building, and Caesar goes to grab his hand and he picks him up, and Koba begs Caesar to save him, and he's like, ape don't kill ape, remember ape don't kill ape. And Caesar grabs Koba's hand and he declares that Koba is no longer an ape. He's not an ape, and he lets his hand go and Koba falls and drops to his death into the flames, and he hits the girders on the way down, and Koba dies and he falls to his death like he subjected Caesar to earlier. So all the remaining apes are like, yeah, we did it. Caesar's back. That's great. Wonderful. They reunite with their families and everything. Caesar, grabs his son. They're all together, and they notice Jason Clarke is being held at gunpoint as they're walking him out, and Jason Clarke is begging Caesar. He's like, please leave the city. You don't know what's coming. We have a chance to have peace. And Caesar's like, listen, the war has begun. An ape has started it, and humans will not forgive us for what we've done. And he's like, hey, you guys should probably go. And so they go away, and Caesar steps out in front of his people, in front of the train station, and the camera zooms into his eyes as we cut to black and end the movie. And that's our Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah. It's not exactly, I would say, like, unlike the previous movie or the other movies we've watched, this is kind of the hardest one to like come up with jokes with, because or like
really
make fun of.
Serious movie.
Because this is
a very serious movie. This is not a joke. This is not a joking movie. This was a very dark movie of a dark take of how the beginning of the war between human and ape happens in the story.
And maybe it's something I've fallen into, but this movie, and we'll get to it a little bit, but everyone is taking this movie so seriously. And everyone is on their A game on this movie, and the writing is really good, and the directing and the shots, and it's a really solid movie. So it's like there's nothing here where I'm like, that was silly, except for maybe Gary Oldman exploding. But even then, watching it the second time, this go around 10 years later after it came out, it's like, oh yeah, like I understand everyone's motivations in this. So I'll just talk about some fun facts about the film. Fun is you could put them in quotes if you want, but you're gonna notice that this movie has no returning human characters from the first movie. James Franco does not return. James Franco did have like a 3-picture deal when he made the first movie, and he was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for that phone call. And this movie was originally supposed to be directed by Rupert Wyatt, who directed the first movie, and Rupert Wyatt wanted to set this film like 50 or so years after the first movie. And so I don't even know if Caesar would have been in it. I don't know if James Franco really would have been in it, maybe just like in a flashback sequence. But James Franco never got that phone call when Matt Reeves was brought on board. And Matt Reeves rewrote the script from scratch, and he was like, yeah, no, start this over. I have a better idea. I want to explore Caesar 10 years out as opposed to like the actual Planet of the Apes. What happens when humans are still kind of around? And it's a very, like you said, serious kind of he made this movie way more serious than the first movie. And you know, everything has a purpose and a point. And last week I spoke to my friend Matt. He mentioned he likes this movie a lot better, and I think this movie is a lot stronger than the first movie. While the first movie like sets all the pieces and the groundwork up, and even the technology behind the scenes, it's all the building blocks to make this movie run. And this movie does run with this idea.
Yeah, I could agree with that. But imagine James Franco's in this movie, and he's just like, hey, what's up? Just chilling at his house, still waiting for Caesar to come back.
He's like, yep, you know, I was waiting at home.
He was immune to the disease.
And well, James Franco didn't even know he had a cameo in this movie with the archive footage. He was like, I didn't know they could do that, but they can, because he filmed it in the previous movie, and Fox owns the rights to that footage, so they could kind of do what they want. And he's barely in it. So this movie, you know, this is kind of a fun thing I found when I was researching the previous movie, and I forgot to mention it last week. The font that's used on the poster and for the title,
Papyrus.
No, it's called Simeon. It's called, I wish it was Papyrus. Yeah, it's called Simeon. It was actually created for the original Planet of the Apes film, and it's the font they use for every movie. And Simeon means monkey. So
that's
look
cool.
at that. Yeah.
Nice.
And that's just something a little bit more upbeat than all the previous stuff we were talking about.
Well, I actually have a fun fact. There's the scene where they get the power back, and Gary Oldman is just like proud that he's like, all right, we got the power back. There's like a moment where I guess he had inexplicably his iPad in the charger.
Oh yeah.
Right. So and when he goes, and it's a very heartfelt scene, I guess. What am I missing? What's the word? What am I trying to say?
It's heartfelt, sure. Yeah, like when he looks at the images of his son.
Well, anyway, those are his actual two daughters.
Oh, look at that.
That's actually his family. That's on the iPad.
Well, speaking of Gary Oldman in an interview, he's admitted in the past, he's like, I take movies for the paycheck. He was like, yeah, you know, you look at my career, you're gonna see a lot of films. You know, maybe I didn't necessarily want to be there, but I did this movie because the script was really good, and I'm a big fan of Planet of the Apes.
See, he's
also like not in it too much, so he didn't have to be there, and he's not dressing up in anything fancy. He didn't have to do any motion capture stuff. You know, he's in a couple of scenes, so he's probably in and out in like 10 days.
Did he have a mustache this movie?
Oh no, I don't think so. He's very Commissioner Gordon in this, if that's what he is very similar.
He's absolutely 100%. This is the Dark Knight of the Planet of the Apes. This movie
shares many similarities to The Lion King.
That's what I was gonna say. Oh my god, this is what I wanted to talk about, and I didn't even look this up. I was like, okay, all right, let's rewind all the way back. I'm pretty sure in The Lion King, Mufasa was teaching Simba to hunt, right? Wasn't he doing that? And what happens in the beginning of the movie? What happens in the beginning of the movie? Caesar teaches Blue Eyes to hunt. And who else is there? Who else is there? Koba, Scar. He has a scar. Scar has a scar. There's the similarities there, right? So there's that. Then, right, when you were going, if I don't know, you could rewind to like whatever you said before, right? About how he shows palace to the humans, to Malcolm and his girlfriend and his son, right? And he's like, look at everything. Look at how the light touches the earth. And then what happens? Mike?
And then Caesar
he gets shot. He gets shot. Why does he get shot, Mike?
Because Koba shoots him, because Koba wants power, and like Scar wants power.
Yeah, like it's crazy. I was like, I'm getting some Lion King out of this plot here. There was a lot of similarities.
Yeah. No, there's a lot, and so specifically with Koba in general, I would say, probably more so his arc resembles Scar a lot, because how does Koba die? Falling to his death into a fiery pit.
Yeah.
How does Scar die? Falling to his death in a
But
fiery
he
pit.
got eaten
then
by hyenas.
But he still
See?
falls. So there's some differences.
Yeah, there's a little bit. No
I want to
hyenas
shout
in
out.
this film.
I want to talk about this guy. His name is Terry Notary. He's the guy who plays Rocket, but he is the reason why the apes act the way they do, because he's the one that came up with the choreography. And I forgot to mention him last week on Rise. He's the one that stands in for Andy Serkis, and he's the one that kind of comes up with all of these movements. So anytime there's a scene where there's like hundreds of apes, it's really just like 6 people in suits, and he's like the one that's leading the charge. And this time, instead of having stunt people be the ones in the motion capture suits, they got people from Cirque du Soleil and gymnastics, and just people who are very agile, as opposed to stunt people who might be a little bit less flexible. So that way they have guys that can jump 20-30 feet in the air. They put the motion capture suit on them, and then they can CGI the apes around them. So they were able to be a little bit more fluid in this movie than they were in the previous movie. And they shot, I think I watched a behind the scene thing with Matt Reeves, the director, where they shot about 80% of this on location as opposed to in sound stages, because a majority of this movie takes place outside in the woods. Caesar's Palace isn't like, it is a set, but it's a set that was constructed outdoors. It's not in a soundstage. And the only stuff that was really shot in the soundstage were the action sequences, because it was a little bit harder to pull off. And you you have to have Andy Serkis did some of his own stunts too. If you watch the behind the scenes stuff, like he's tumbling down things and falling off stuff, but all on padded surfaces. And it's really kind of fascinating to watch them go through their process and create these things, because by this time, by 2014, the technology had advanced further enough where they could record something, and then on a monitor you would see not the full render of it, but you would see a rough render of what they just recorded. And it's really cool to look at. I fully recommend, if you have a chance, go online and on YouTube. There's like a 16-minute like behind the scenes documentary of how they filmed some of this stuff, and it's really, really cool.
But
let's talk. What's really funny in that behind the scenes footage, you see posters for Avatar in the background, because the studio Weta Digital Imaging, they're the people who pioneered this technology with Avatar, and they just kind of keep pushing it and pushing it. But we'll talk about the reason why we're here. We'll talk about the monkeys. So let's discuss our monkeys in this film. This movie has the most monkeys, main characters, out of any movie I think I've talked about so far. So let's talk about Caesar. Like, Caesar as a monkey, as a leader, what do you think of him?
I think he's very fair.
You think he's fair?
Yeah.
Well, what about his monkeying? How good of a monkey is he?
How good of a monkey is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's adapting into a human.
Yeah. I mean, something I also read is Andy Serkis made this choice as well, is that he is the most human-like, obviously, of any of the other apes at this point. And he, when he walks around, he mostly walks around upright on 2 legs, while the other apes are hunched over, using their knuckles and everything, kind of running like we see, apes might do in a zoo or the environment. Yeah, he's kind of tilting away, but he does. Yeah, he's very fair, like you're mentioning. He has a strong moral compass. He doesn't want to kill anybody else or any other ape or any other human. He trusts in his people, and he trusts in humans that people are going to do the right thing, but he's burned almost all the time. But he's supposed to represent the best of them.
Yeah.
What about Caesar's wife, Cornelia, played by Judy Greer, who doesn't do much in this movie, but she gets work.
As a monkey, I think she did a good job playing. What was her name? Cornelia?
Cornelia, yeah.
Cornelia. I think she did a great job playing Cornelia. I mean, the whole thing was like what you said before, like lifelike. They're not just these average monkeys monkeying around,
Yeah, like they have bits and pieces of like a primal monkey might have, or a primal ape might have, but you also get the pieces of humanity slipping in, like for some reason monkey doctors, monkeys fishing, monkeys using these things, and they're communicating. Almost all the apes in this movie are able to communicate with each other in one way or another, whether it's through sign language, or a lot of them start to speak very limited speech, but they do speak. They're not speaking grammatically full sentences.
Yeah, they're getting there.
they're getting there. And that was also a conscious choice I saw, is that the apes that have had the vaccine in them, that were subjected to the vaccines first, they're the ones that are able to talk more and speak in full sentences, as opposed to just use sign language. So then there's Maurice, the orangutan, also not in this movie too much, but is kind of like the solid backbone, just like, listen, I'm just here, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, he's the right-hand man.
I like Caesar and everything. We're gonna ride this out. Let's just do some peace. We got some peace, you know? What are you gonna say?
On the monkey scale?
On the monkey scale, yeah.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 orangutan.
And then you have Blue Eyes, Caesar's son. How do you feel about Blue Eyes?
Blue Eyes is more of an adolescent chip, I would say. He's learning both ways, adapting towards the human, trying to appease his father and all that. So he just wants to make his father proud.
For Blue Eyes, this movie is kind of a coming of age story for him.
Yeah.
This is his first chance to prove himself as a leader, and he kind of makes the wrong choices by siding with Koba. But it's also understandable because Koba is this guy who he's looked up to his entire life. This was Caesar's right-hand guy, his general. And he's saying, these things. And yeah, obviously he would want revenge for the death of his father at the, hands of humans. But he also proves he knows that things are not necessarily
as they
right
seem.
with Koba. And he doesn't actively stand up against him until he knows his father's still alive, but he is questioning things. He's always looking around and being like, is this right? Should we put people in cages? I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about Koba.
Koba is the best monkey in this film.
He absolutely. Toby Kebbell.
Hands down. Sorry.
Crushes it. No. Caesar's great, but Toby Kebbell crushes this role in this movie. He replaces the previous person who played Koba in the last movie, because I think they wanted someone with a little bit more dramatic range. And his facial tics, his facial features, like the way he switches on and off from being like that silly little monkey to like a complete and utter sociopath in in just an evil ape. And it's such a good performance that it's believable that this is what this ape has been through. And you do kind of feel for him, because there's one part where he's going to Caesar and he's like, look what humans did to me. Like, they scarred my face, they scarred my body, they scarred my arm, they ripped me apart and put me back together. I will never be able to forgive them for that. So his motivation for wanting to kill all the humans is strong, and it's believable.
His hatred towards humans
is like, you can see pain in his face and his eyes when he's talking about that. But then also, like, when he is in control and he does have power, you see this grander version of what he wants to be. When he gets his shot at power, he just runs with it. And he's also kind of a badass too. Like that action sequence we mentioned when he was on the horse and he overtakes the tank and he's riding through the fire and everything. It's just such a great sequence. And it just shows the kind of determination that he has, because he's the opposite of Caesar. He's the mirror image. He's the scar to Caesar's Mufasa, where it's like, this is what, Caesar just went down a different path. So any other apes we should talk about? I know there's so many in this movie. But
let's talk about Ash.
Let's talk about Ash. Poor Ash. Poor Ash, like we mentioned, gets shot.
This monkey just took a beating.
Gets a little better. His father doesn't stand up for him.
Yeah, what happened with that?
With Rocket?
Like what happened?
Rocket's just like, well, Caesar says it's okay, so I guess.
But you don't think Rocket could have avenged his son's death?
Nope. I don't know. Koba. Well, Rocket's Rocket's not the one that's leading the community.
No, but he could have got a couple jabs in there in the final scene.
He could have, but he didn't. I don't remember if Rocket's he must be, because he does live. I thought he died in the first movie, but it must have been a different ape.
Nah, that was the gorilla.
No, the gorilla dies, but there's also an ape that gets shot off the Golden Gate Bridge, and I was like, was that Rocket? It's not. But yeah, and so Rocket's kind of useless in this movie. It's just kind of like, I'm around, and I'm whatever Caesar says, I'm going with.
Yep.
And poor Ash dies, and so his son is killed, and is unfortunately I would say the biggest tragedy of the film, more so than Gary Oldman.
Oh my God, Gary Oldman.
So let's ask the question: what happens when we remove the monkeys from this movie? What's the movie that we have left? What's the story?
it would be a very easy time for the humans to get power, and then they could party all they want.
Well, a bunch of humans die. There's a couple that are immune, and then they go up to the dam, they fix the dam, and they live fine.
And
yeah, like
that's it. They party. They party it up.
Caesar died.
We established
all the apes also died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, short movie, little short film, no conflict. Everyone's happy. Gary Oldman doesn't explode.
No, he would have lived.
No, he would have lived. Yeah, and that's that. All right, so we got to ask the question now, Justin. Is this a monkey see, monkey do?
This is
monkey see, monkey don't.
100% monkey see, monkey do. This is probably one of the best monkey movies ever created, in my opinion, and best sequels towards a reboot.
I completely agree with you. I think not just towards a reboot, I think in general. I think one of the best sequels ever. I'm excited to rewatch the third movie. This is a very much a monkey see, monkey do. Go out and watch it if you haven't already watched it. Sorry for all the spoilers. But yeah, it's so well, like we mentioned, it's so well acted, it's so well shot, it's so well directed, and it's well written.
Were we not supposed to spoil anything?
Well, that is the point of the show.
Oh man, jeez.
Yeah, no, it's just a really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. So if you got the chance, go out and watch it. It's only 2 hours long. What is amazing to me, this is the Planet of the Apes movie. It's made the most money out of any Planet of the Apes movie with a budget of $170 million. This made $710 million at the box office. This did really, really well, which warranted a sequel, of course, with War of the Planet of the Apes. And that movie, I kind of peeked ahead to the future. It didn't make as much money as this one. That one only made like $410 million, which is about equal to what Rise of the Planet of the Apes made, because Rise of the Planet of the Apes made $481 million. And so this is the most successful Planet of the Apes film that's ever been made. I'm sure 20th Century Fox loves that, which is kind of weird because, like, yes, it builds off of that, and this is such a great movie. It's a shame that this movie wasn't nominated for more Oscars. It was nominated for the Best Visual Effects Oscar that year, but wound up losing to, I'm going to pull that up right now.
There was no Best Actor in this?
No, Andy Serkis did not get nominated for Best Actor, no Best Supporting Actor. Right? Isn't that crazy? It's crazy. So good. This movie lost to Hugo, which it's a nice movie.
No
but
way.
Like the technology. This was the visual effects this year, 2011. Hugo, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Real Steel, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon.
Oh my
now
God.
It can knock out Real Steel real easy, and it can knock out Transformers visual marvels. Those movies, story wise,
yeah.
But Harry Potter, also great visual effects. But how do you top this? Hugo can't top that. And again, Hugo, it's a nice movie, but
wow.
And then actors that year, I'll pull up the best actors. This was a tough year. This was the year of, am I wrong?
2014. I'm pretty sure Deathly Hallows Part 2 was 2011.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. That was Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I apologize. 2014. These were the movies. Interstellar won Best Visual Effects. I kind of get it. That's
a space movie.
Yeah. It was up against Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men: Days of Future Past, as well as Interstellar.
Oh, they're all good movies. This is a good year for movies.
Yeah, 2014 was a good year. Best actor race, this was a bit tough. It was Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything.
Oh, he won.
Steve Carell, Foxcatcher, Bradley Cooper, American Sniper, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game, and Michael Keaton, Birdman. So, Michael Keaton lost.
No, he won, right? Eddie Redmayne won.
Eddie Redmayne won
the best movie.
Yeah, that's what happened. And so, this movie should have been nominated for Best Picture, honestly. I mean, it is a tough year because, you have so many good movies in this category here, but like Whiplash, oh my God, like
oh wow, Whiplash was 2014.
This was a good year for movies. This was a tough year.
It's been a tough category. Well, this has got easily top 10 of 2014 movies. Oh.
Yeah, so this was I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Interstellar, like, those are all
those were all
fantastic
fun movies
as well. So there was a hard year, but I wish this franchise gets a little bit more love. The next one also didn't win any Oscars, but that's okay.
Well,
all right. Well, Justin, I want to ask you the question I like to ask all my guests before we leave the show. Do you like monkeys?
Of course, I like monkeys.
Of course, yeah. Do you have
anything to
monkey
say?
Any monkey experiences? No, just you like monkeys. That's fine.
I don't have any monkey experiences, but I do have a question. So that I watched this Planet of the Apes movie, and there's no bananas. No bananas in this movie.
No bananas in this movie. No bananas in the previous movie. I don't know if any of these movies have bananas in them.
There's none.
You know, I'll do that. I'll make a running tally.
I want to know if there's any bananas
in any of these Planet of the Apes movies.
In any of these, yeah.
So far, no bananas, and I don't think we're gonna get one. Maybe in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, this new one coming out, perhaps. But we'll see.
They'll probably make you go bananas.
Oh,
we got him.
It's a pun we've used before, but it's fine. All right, let me close out the show here. I want to thank Justin for coming on the show today. I appreciate you talking about this movie with us. I want to thank you all for listening, for sticking around to the end. It's amazing people listen to this. I want to shout out, there's a guy in Belgium who listens to every single episode. Don't know who you are, but thank you for listening as well. If you want to support the show in some capacity, in the description, I'm leaving a Amazon affiliate link where you can go online and you can go on Amazon and you can buy anything you want. Buy the Planet of the Apes box set and I get a little kickback of that somehow, so it can help me keep the lights on and keep me recording this podcast. I'll thank Elias for our logo. Yeah, I think that's all the thanks there. Thank you again for listening. And Justin, do you have a fun way to close out the show?
I just wanted to say, yeah, Mike, thank you for having me on, and keep monkeying around.
Keep monkeying around. All right, thank you, and bye.
Bye.
You can